Hey guys, I'm Wakas, and in this video we're gonna create a 3D animated logo in Blender. So let's get started. First of all, I'm gonna press 7 on my keyboard and go into the top view. Then I'm gonna click Add, Image, and select a reference. Now I'm gonna browse the reference that I want to trace. In my case, it's this logo. Now before we lock this logo, let's go to the Image tab here and make sure we actually have transparency checked and the opacity is a bit lower, let's say 0.3. Now let's click this tiny funnel in the outliner and click the selectable icon. Now that's selected, let's uncheck in the outliner. This means I cannot move this image at all. This is locked in the 3D viewport. So now it's time to trace. We're going to start with the outer circle right here. With my cursor in the center, I'm going to go Add, Mesh, and I'm going to select Circle. If I press S to scale, then it would scale actually, and now I want to go to Edit Mode and press F to fill the whole circle. Now I'm going to press I to inset. So let's say I want to have this much of border and I do not need the middle face anymore. So I'm going to press X and delete faces. There you go. Let's get out of edit mode, and now it's time to draw the actual logo. For that I'm going to go back to my the top view, and this time again add mesh and plane. I'm going to go to edit mode. I'll select my plane, go to edit mode, select all of my vertices, and if you go to mesh and merge, let's call it as center, which means I've merged all of my vertices and now I just have a single vertex. So if you press G, you can move the vertex freely. So for this one, I'm gonna bring my vertex around here, and it's time to trace. So I'm gonna select the vertex and press E to extrude, left mouse button to release, press E again, left mouse button to release, E to extrude again, and E to extrude again, left mouse button to release, E, extrude, E, extrude. Now this part wouldn't actually matter, so what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to just extrude a bit like this. And I keep on extruding because this part we actually not going to see at all. So I just want to make sure I end up my logo somewhere here. So let's say a bit closer to the actual starting point. I'm going to select my starting point, go back to merge, and select at center. Let's do at center so it centers up. Now I'm going to go back to object mode and see if everything's fine. Yeah, it's fine. Let's go back to edit mode, select everything by pressing A on your keyboard and F to fill. There you go. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to hide these two guys here because we want to trace the snow tops here, those tiny snow tops. So I'm going to select both of these objects and press H to hide, 7 to go to the top view, and add another plane. This time I'm going to press Shift A as a shortcut and select plane again, go to edit mode, select all of my vertices once more, mesh, and then go to merge and then add center, press G and then move my vertex. So I'm gonna try drawing something here. Actually, not try. I'm gonna actually I'm actually gonna trace. So I'm gonna go mesh now and center. So let's select one of the vertex and Shift D to duplicate. Press E to extrude, E to extrude again. So I'm gonna trace this guy. There you go. Select both of them and mesh, merge, and center. So it's a lot of extruding of the vertices, duplicating for now. For example, right now we're going to press Shift D and duplicate again. There you go. So it's a lot of duplicating of the vertices, extruding, and also merging. For example, right now we're going to merge again, select both of these guys, go to Mesh and Merge at Center. So I'm going to select all of these shapes by pressing A on my keyboard and press F to fill. Let's go to Object Mode, unhide everything by pressing Alt H, or you can always hide your objects here and unhide in the outliner. For now, let's select the outer ring and go to the modifiers and add a modifier called Solidify. I'm going to give it a little bit of thickness, so let's say 0.04 would actually do. Add a modifier here again as well, Solidify, 0.04, works perfect. Here, I just want to make sure I don't see these kind of artifacts, so I'm going to use my Move tool and take this guy down. Well, I don't think we need this empty anymore, so I'm going to hide for now. This looks very nice. Now I'm going to unhide my snow tops, which are here. Select the snow tops, go to the modifier and Solidify once more, and give it 0.04 of thickness. There you go. Okay, so we actually have a little bit of a problem here. This is not aligned, so what we can do is go to Edit Mode and hover my mouse only on this part of the snow top and press L to select this part. I'm going to use my Move tool and bring it down like so. Alright, yeah, this is perfect. Let's go back to Object Mode, and it's time to add some materials before we actually animate. So I'm going to go to Material Preview, the viewport shading here. Select my outer ring, go to the material and create a new one, call it red. And I'm going to give it a base color of something like so. Actually, a little bit darker as well, it doesn't matter. Yeah, this one. And my mountains have the same red color. And my snow tops would actually be white. So yeah, this looks very well. What I'm going to do right now is maybe apply all of these modifiers. Select an object and click Apply. Select object and click Apply, so we still have the thickness, everything is perfect. Select everything by pressing A on your keyboard, so you see everything gets selected except the actual reference image, because it's not selectable and it's hidden. And press Ctrl J on your keyboard to join the mesh. Now what we're going to do next is press R on our keyboard, and we want to rotate on the X axis, and then we're going to press X on our keyboard and press 90. There you go. And you can always, so if I Ctrl Z, you can always select this rotate tool here and try to align. Or at the same time, if you go to Item and select rotation on the X axis, just type a number here. It's the same thing. Sorry, I'm gonna get my screencast again. Okay, cool. Alright, so now that we have everything's ready, we want to make sure everything's zeroed out, which is not. So I'm gonna select my object and press Ctrl A on my keyboard and click Apply All Transforms. So scale is 1, rotation is 0, location is 0. We are doing very good. Now let's bring up the timeline right here and make sure, let's end it at 60 frames. On the first frame, I'm going to press I, and I want to record the the rotation. That's perfect. And on frame number 60, I want to have my rotation to be 360 degrees. Now press I outside and record rotation, or you can always click I here if you like. So you can see now we have 2 keyframes. So if I play, you have an animated logo for yourself, which is cool. But what if you want to have a constant linear movement? So let's go to graph editor. Oops, yeah, here. Let's zoom out, or we can always press and select everything with A, press V on your keyboard and select set keyframe handle type as vector. Now if I go back to timeline, if I play, you'll see I actually have a much smoother and a loopable animation, which you can use in your starting of the films or your company logo, wherever you like, in your game as well. So yeah. Alright, so now that we have our logo modeled and animated, it's time to add some lighting, camera, and start rendering our logo animation. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go add a new light, and I'm going to use point. I'm going to go to the light properties here, make sure the radius is big enough, so something, I don't know, maybe 5 would actually do, and then increase the power to 2000. Now I'm going to go to my rendered viewport right here and bring the light bit in the front. I'm actually using Eevee as a renderer, so you might want to change right in the render properties here. If it's not Eevee, you might have cycles turned on. Make sure you're on Eevee because it renders faster, and yeah, you just see real-time results very quickly. So I actually like Eevee so far. Alright, so the next thing, we want to add a camera. So now that we have a light, everything looks great, the logo is illuminated, let's add a camera now. I'm gonna go to my front viewpoint, and let's say front, and the shortcut is numpad 1. Add a new camera, and for now, if you press 0 on your keyboard, you're gonna go to the camera view, the camera's perspective, and if you press 0 again, you come out of it. You can also go to camera view from here, view, camera, and active camera, in and out. But I want to make sure that when I'm in the front view, I have the exact same framing that I have in the viewport, and I want to have the exact same framing inside my camera. So the shortcut to that is Control Alt and 0. The camera would actually snap to your viewport. So after it gets snapped, we might still want to adjust it. So one way is to go into the properties and move the camera around, or you can also move the camera around freely by pressing Shift and tilde key on your keyboard. And I'm using WASD to go right and left, so it's like first person gaming thing, you know, you can actually use that. And then you can use your mouse to look around. There you go. But hey, so I would like to be somewhere like this. Perfect. Let's go to before we start rendering, let's add a little bit of bloom. You can see there's a little bit of bloom here at the moment, which is nice. And let's go to output properties now, because we have our lighting, the camera is looking good as well, so we are ready to render our logo now. So let's go to output properties now, and if you scroll down, you should look for here, or just a moment, I think it's yeah, it's not here, it's probably, yes. Alright, so if you look into render properties, go to film and make sure your background is transparent. So we are not rendering the gray background along with the logo itself. So if you press transparent under film and then go to the output properties, make sure your dimensions are 1920 by 1080 full HD, or you can choose whatever you like. Second thing, we want to go to output. We want to make sure we have selected PNG for a transparent sequence, and the color is selected as RGBA. So it has alpha channel in it. And I think we are good, and then we can use the output folder. So I'm gonna go to desktop. I have my folder here. I already rendered the sequence, so I'm still gonna just select this folder. And finally, what you need to do is click on render and render animation. Right. Just before you do that, I just want to mention one more thing. So you can see in the render output properties, it says what is a frame start, that is 1 for us, and what is the frame end, that's 60. So make sure it's exactly the same. It would actually be the same, because you can see when I change here, it changes here automatically as well. But still, just make sure you're having the right frames. And now if you press render and render animation, so it's going to start rendering. You can already see we are on frame 4, frame 5, frame 6, and it continues. Once it's done, you can open up the folder and you'll see all of your animations, all of your frames in a PNG sequence that you can import in one of your favorite video editing softwares, and then just use the logo before your film or trailer or whatever you like. So this was it. I hope you liked this tutorial, and if you did, please follow, and if you have any comments, please leave them in the description below, and I'll just in the comments below. If you have any comments, leave in the comments below, and I'll get back to you right away. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.